This is the Mahtab Aziz Celebrity Lawyer Show. Hope you're all well. And we have our guest this evening, and it's Amira Hassan.
Hi.
Hi, Amira. Hope you're
Hi,
well.
how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Hope this lockdown is going to come to an end soon.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to just picking up with, especially with work.
Yes, of course. Now, you are the editor of Here's magazine. Where does the name come from, Here's?
So it's actually Heres,
Okay.
and it's the root word for heritage or heir in Latin. So I kind of chose it because people didn't really know how to say it.
Yeah, including me.
Yeah, which is a great marketing point, I think.
Right, sure. I see. Okay, that's very good. So, when did you first have ambitions of becoming an editor of a magazine?
Well, if I'm being completely honest, it was never really a goal for me to become an editor of a magazine. Running this and having started it really just was an organic process. I came up with the concept for the first issue before I came up with the idea of rolling it and running it as a magazine. So really, it was the project before the business. But I'm glad it's turned into a business. So
Right. I mean, I think you first started off in late 2019, I believe.
yes. So I came up with the concept in September 2019. And I just sort of took it from there and really got things going in January. A few months later down the line, put a team together and just really got stuck into it.
Right. I mean, when you were studying, had you studied this aspect of the media, or was this something completely new to you?
So I think I've strayed from conventional routes. I didn't finish studying. I went straight into working, and I was actually in the design industry. So I had done 2 architectural internships with really great firms in London, and I was working for a luxury interiors company. And then I went on to start writing various things for blogs, campaigns, and I kind of accumulated this skill set, which is so varied, and has led me into a really great place being able to do this.
So you were a proper entrepreneur. You didn't need school. You had all of it there anyway.
Yeah, I didn't need school. I mean, I did go to university for about 3 months,
Right.
And I was studying the history of the near Middle East and South Asia, but I think academics weren't for me.
Oh, sure. Okay, well, you've done very well. I mean, the basic concept of Harris. What's the basic concept of it? Because I think it's something quite innovative, isn't it?
Yeah, I think what we're doing or what we're trying to do is visually represent an exploration of culture, identity, and style in London. And I think it's kind of taking that saying of a picture is worth more than 1,000 words sort of thing, and really just relaying that and allowing our features to kind of really take the reins in how they represent who they are, what they want people to see about them. And I think really it's just about collectively bringing a lot of London's communities together, and allowing them to understand that, we are all from very, very, very different places. And it's very interesting to just kind of basically bond over that.
Right. And but do you use freelance photographers, or how does it actually work?
So currently I'm working with 2 photographers who are kind of permanently on the team. And then I also have a couple of freelance photographers here and there. And we do try to get people involved at home, I think, particularly because we were running this most of last year during a complete and total lockdown. And we were getting, creatives just to shoot at home and, get involved in that way. So we're really open to taking on board other people's work and just what they might have to offer.
Right. And do you sort of do you have categories, or how do you devote one edition to a certain type of community or photography, or how do you actually structure your magazine?
Well, I think that's a really interesting question, and a lot of people have asked me this kind of thing before. What I pride myself in is, taking on the observation that London is completely random, and it would be a kind of take away from the point if I had focused on just one community. I think it does no justice to London to kind of focus in on one kind of type of photography or community. It really is just this expanse. So we kind of try to capture from different elements of all backgrounds, whether that's your creative professional life and or kind of background heritage wise.
Right, that's good. I mean, obviously, being the editor, you probably get to pick and choose the best picks. Then I take it.
Yeah, definitely. I think I get to pick out quite a few, but I do have some help from my mentor, and I'm working with a really great design team on our first physical print issue, which is set to launch in August. So they do have a bit of a say here and there.
Oh, I see. So currently you're mainly online. I take it your magazine online, is it?
Yeah, so we're currently online. We launched that in December 2020, and we are also just running things on social media, which I think is very much the way to go these days.
Yeah, sure. And when it comes to, like, because you mentioned before that it's actually coming to be like a good business venture. So in those terms, how is it? Because do you get revenue from advertising, or how does it work in terms of business for yourself?
Well, the intention is to get revenue from advertisement, but of course, we need to try and create like a business model that is sustainable. For us, that's going to come in the form of subscription and selling a physical print annually. And I think also it's just about managing how much we're selling and how much we gain in interest with those subscribers. And I think the more and more we work on what we're doing, the more we grow, and the more that number kind of grows alongside it.
Right. And how do you sort of advertise your wares, so to speak?
Advertise. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Advertise your wares. Yeah. How do you make people aware of your magazine?
So something that my team and I really pride ourselves in is a word of mouth approach. We think it's something that's it's dying out. People are relying heavily on social media and paying money to kind of get recognized. And we're trying to steer away from that and actually build, a meaningful community of creatives in London that by default, you kind of expand just beyond into multiple numbers when you kind of make sure that you're creating those meaningful connections with people. So for everything that we do is very much word of mouth, and our approach is very much like business to business. This is kind of where we'd like to keep it going as well.
No, and I suppose there may be a slight change in strategy when your print version comes out, but so far you feel that your approach has been successful with the online version. You feel it's going in the right, just met its targets or whatever. You feel it's going in the right direction?
Definitely. I mean, the thing is, with any business, especially a year or so in, there's a lot of improvements to make and there's a lot to learn from. And I think we're kind of at that stage where we are learning about how we can keep building on what we're doing and seeing it grow. But I think we also want to maintain that we have this ethos behind everything that we do. So it's a fine line. And I think certainly for myself and the co-editor, we're really kind of trying to kind of keep a balance between the two.
Sure. And do you specifically target a certain age group or
so our age group is 18 to 30.
Right.
However, that said, I think, that said, I think it does, the way that we're trying to go about things, and especially with the physical print, that isn't just aimed at 18 to 30. That is something that, an older generation would like to pick up and have as a coffee table book or, so we're trying to keep it varied.
And when the print version does come out, do you have an idea as to how many pages it's going to have, or the volume of it, and so on? Or
Yeah, so it's a 96-page cover to cover.
oh,
Yeah, and with our first print run, we're hoping to go for 1,000 and see what happens. So
sure. So you'll have the distributors. Will it be obviously news agents and those sort of places, or?
well, it won't be mainstream. I think that's fair to say. It is quite a niche and kind of bespoke special magazine. So you'll find it in sort of those specialist magazine shops dotted around London.
Okay.
But we also will be distributing it from our own website, so people can purchase it online. It is kind of approaching sort of the places that would cater for this kind of magazine.
Right. And I suppose a lot of your readers would probably be university students, possibly. Did you
Yeah.
target universities specifically? Did you target the universities, or?
Something that we plan on doing in the next few months is kind of working on our audience in those respects. So universities, just places like creative workspaces in London, and just event places that kind of be interested in having these magazines readily available.
Right. I mean, it must be a bit of a challenge to to have sort of fresh ideas and fresh approaches when you're just relying on a visual medium. If there was a lot of written content, I imagine that would probably be easier. But actually, getting visual content and keeping it interesting, I imagine would probably not an easier task.
No, it certainly isn't. It's not as straightforward as kind of having, an article written up and someone reading it. But I think the time and effort that it gets put into something like this, the more long lasting it is. I don't know if you ever got to see the Steve McQueen photo that he did, the kind of over an expanse of years, documenting these year 7 or year 3 students or something at the Tate. And I think what's really resounding about that is it's everlasting. It's something that stays in people's minds. I don't often remember half the articles I read, and so I think that's the aim with this, is just that it is kind of like a photo album that you or myself have passed down in the family, that you see those images and you remember them.
Right.
So I think, as much as it's difficult and it's a little bit more of a longer route to produce the content, it's worth it, definitely.
I see, sure. And can you just describe some of the photographic images that you that stand out for you in your magazines thus far?
Thus far, I think, for me, they're all kind of stand out because the individuals have such a special kind of background and story to share. Both the photographers working on this have done a really great job at capturing these individuals' identities, as well as like the visual that they, the feature really wanted. We've got some that aren't live yet that are some of my absolute favorite. There's one girl, Daria, who was shot with a flower crown on her head. She is half Lithuanian, half Ukrainian, and that is a traditional thing that they do during summer solstice. And I think just to have that alongside, her own casual dress in a park in London is just, there's something special about that, because it's not something you'd see every day.
Right. Because the photographs and the pictures that you probably use for your publication, they're not specifically fashion oriented, are they? There has to be some other element to it. Is that correct?
Yeah, so with this first issue, Styling Heritage, the idea and the brief that we work to is about combining your personal heritage with your personal identity through the means of your style. So really what we're trying to do is kind of steer away from this typical, editorial looking imagery, and have, kind of like a personal documentative, as well as like an element of this, editorial fashion look about a lot of our imagery, and the aim is really just to kind of capture a visual voice.
Right, right. I mean, do you have any sort of competitors, who operate with a similar sort of standpoint, or are you sort of the only sort of publication that really specifically has, has this sort of approach?
As far as I'm aware, and I'm really proud of this, no
Mm.
one's taking the same approach. I think if you go to a number of other magazines, they're always working with stylists and, people who run a shoot and manage it and kind of direct that visual goal. We don't do that. And we really, really pride ourselves in that. We kind of really work with the feature to understand what they want to convey. And we kind of work with our limited resources to make that happen.
Right.
So yeah, thus so far, I don't think anyone else is doing what I'm doing.
Well, there might be a few after tonight's show, I can tell you.
I hope not. I really hope not.
All right. Well, Amira, we're just coming up to our first break.
Great.
So it's been great talking, and do hold on, and we will be back again after the short break. Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Did you know that girls like Noura walk an average of 3 miles every day in search of clean water to support their families? Minhaj Welfare Foundation believes you can end the water crisis by building small and large-scale water projects. Your charity is helping improve the lives of communities living in the poorest regions of the world. However, more needs to be done. Support Water for All. Donate today. Call us now, 0300 30 30 777, or visit us on minhajwelfare.org.
Rosia Plumbing, the boiler specialists. We do new boiler installations, full house central heating systems, underfloor heating, boiler repairs, boiler servicing, and gas safety certification for landlords. With some of the best prices in town, there's no job too big or too small for our qualified engineers. For a free, no obligation quote, contact us now on 07956 282 948. Rosia Plumbing, the boiler specialists.
Turkish Kitchen, the best Turkish food you'll ever taste. We only use the highest quality meat. Along with our mixed grill platters, we serve cold mezes, hot mezes, lahmacun, and a wide selection of fish options. To order for delivery or collection, call us now on 0208 507 8822. That's 0208 507 8822. Or visit us at 41 Ripple Road, Barking, IG11 7NT. We can also take group bookings and take care of all your party needs. The Turkish Kitchen, Barking.
If you want to advertise your business on Revive FM, then visit www.revivefm.co.uk. Alternatively, contact our sales team now on 07944 56 5616. That's 07944 56 5616.
प्रतापत, थैंक यू सो मच जो हमें वक्त दिया है। और पहला सवाल आपसे ये पूछेंगे कि जो ये मूव अभी हमारे बच्चों को वापस स्कूल जाने में, ये अच्छा मूव है कि नहीं?
जैसा कि आप जानते हैं, स्कूल और कॉलेज में बच्चों और जवान लोगों के जाने के बहुत फायदे हैं। सिर्फ तालीम ही की वजह से नहीं, बल्कि उनकी जिस्मानी, ज़हनी नशोनुमा भी होती है।
जैसे हमें पता है कि काफी पेरेंट्स को कंसर्न्स हैं ये जो बच्चे वापस स्कूल जा रहे हैं, और स्पेशली टेस्टिंग के बारे में कि क्या पता चलेगा किस बच्चों को कोविड है कि नहीं, तो बच्चे टेस्ट होंगे कि नहीं?
एक हफ्ते में 2 बार कोविड-19 टेस्ट तमाम सेकेंडरी स्कूल और कॉलेज के बच्चों के साथ साथ तमाम टीचर्स के लिए भी दस्तयाब है।
और आप क्या सोचते हैं कि ये टेस्ट करना जरूरी है?
हाँ, बिल्कुल। यकीनी तौर पर 3 में से 1 फर्द जिसको कोविड-19 है, उसको उसकी कोई अलामत नहीं, और वो ये जाने बगैर अपने दोस्तों और अपने खानदान के लोग तक फैला सकते हैं।
टेस्टिंग के अलावा और कोई एडिशनल मेजर्स हैं बच्चों को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए?
अज़ाफ़ी हिफाजती इक़दामात के तौर पर स्कूल और कॉलेज के बच्चों के वालिदैन और बच्चों की देखभाल के बबल्स के लिए बाकायदगी से तेज रफ्तार कोविड-19 टेस्ट दस्तयाब है। उसके अलावा स्कूलों में बच्चे और टीचर फेस मास्क पहनते हैं और हैंड सैनिटाइजर भी इस्तेमाल करते हैं। उनकी ब्रेक और लंच टाइम भी मुख्तलिफ टाइम पर होगी।
और फाइनली आबिद भाई, काफी पेरेंट्स हैं जो कंसर्न हैं कि बच्चों को अभी जो वापस स्कूल जा रहे हैं, जो ना उनकी कंसर्न्स के लिए आप क्या एडवाइस देंगे उन पेरेंट्स को?
हम में से जितने ज्यादा लोग हफ्ते में 2 बार टेस्ट करवाएंगे, उतने ही ज्यादा हम एक दूसरे की हिफाजत कर सकते हैं और एक दूसरे को महफूज रख सकते हैं। टेस्ट करवाना आसान और मुफ्त है।
Now we're gradually coming out of lockdown. We can get together again outside. Have a picnic for 6 in the park. Separate blankets and lots of space, obviously. But what if another friend walks by? It'd be rude not to invite them over, wouldn't it? The more people you meet, the greater your risk of getting COVID-19. So only meet in groups of up to 6 or 2 households. Let's take this next step safely. Remember, hands, face, space, and fresh air.
Kebabish Original, one of the biggest names in the restaurant trade. Visit your local KO to experience the thrill of the grill and the most authentic Pakistani cuisine. From our kebabs to our curries and from our mixed platters to our peri-peri, our chefs prepare your food in front of you while you wait. KO is now offering franchise opportunities. To take advantage of our proven and successful business model, contact us on 0208 446 7779 or visit kebabishoriginal.co.uk.
Revive FM
94.0 on the radio,
on your mobile,
and online.
And welcome back. You're listening to Revive FM 94.0. And this is the Mahtab Aziz Celebrity Lawyer Show. Today we have Amira Hassan. Amira, you're still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Now, you've gone through your the basic circumstances that led you to this position now. But as you sort of mentioned briefly previously, this last year has been a very, very challenging year. I mean, how did you survive it? I mean, a lot of businesses have closed down, and employees have been laid off work. And how did you actually? How was that whole experience? How was that for you? Because this was sort of like a fledgling business that you started, and all of a sudden you've been racked with this great tsunami of a wave. And so, how did you survive it?
It's I still ask myself that today. I honestly, I think it's a combination of things. I think it was kind of accepting that it was what it was last year, and kind of trying to work around it and through it at the simultaneously. I think going back to something I said to you earlier, just about that word of mouth approach that we take.
Yeah.
If we didn't have that, I don't think we would have stood a chance during the course of last year. I think the connections and the relationships that we had built in the very few months that we started to kind of set everything up from January to March, meant the world to kind of us continuing on. And of course, this is not to say that I personally did not have a lot of anxieties throughout the year about, where am I going with this? My timeline is completely whack and I can't, produce what I'm going to produce. But I think again, it goes back to that word of mouth situation where we put a lot of our time and effort into maintaining that level of communication with people and really driving in what we're doing, and it's carried us to today. Absolutely.
Right. I mean, yes, word of mouth is indeed a very powerful a method, but to actually succeed in it, you need to have a very sort of wide network, I would have thought. So was that the case with yourself? Because for word of mouth to work efficiently and properly, you need to have a lot of mouths to push on the word. So
yeah.
How did you achieve that?
You know what? I think, as an individual who is quite the introvert, I'm not someone who, spent a great deal of my time speaking to millions of people all the time. Really, I think it was just about, reaching out to people who I'd never met before, and, had no idea who they were, and making sure that, I'm keeping a conversation going about what I'm doing. I also just, really don't kind of want to go off and try and get help from, people around me. I've really done this, on my own and with the kind of small team that I have and their networks too. So I think combined, we just kept things going with conversations. And we've built what I think a lot of people in London will recognize, like this sort of network, which is always intertwined anyway. So, you meet one person and somehow they're connected to someone else, and it's just all kind of, domino effect, really. I think that's a lot of what's happened with this. It's a domino effect.
Wow, well, it's good to see. It's actually worked very well for you. I mean, so now you come to a stage now where actually you're going to be going to a better sort of level or a higher level. I mean that in itself is probably quite an achievement in itself, because people are just sort of beginning to sort of come out of that hibernation of the COVID sort of situation, and whereas you're sort of landing running sort of thing. So I think that in itself is probably speaks well for your magazine.
Certainly, I think we going into a lockdown lifting and everything. I think really what we're excited about is just being able to commence things in physical, with the shoots and just getting everything really rounded off for August. So really, just to have put ourselves in this situation at this point has been an immense achievement, because we've set ourselves up in a way that actually we can run like this for the long term and for the foreseeable. And that's something I didn't account for kind of at the beginning of last year when pandemic became a thing. So
right, and of course, did you find that you had use of a mentor, or was there someone who would possibly guide you through sort of choppy waters? Was there someone there who was at hand to do that?
Yeah, definitely. So I've got really great mentor, and he's been working with me on this from day one, before it was even a magazine.
Right.
Just when it was the concept. So I'm really grateful to have him on board and kind of taking on bits of work here and there for me, and really getting stuck into the design process of the physical print as well. And on top of that, I think as well, I have a lot to thank my father for as well. He's a businessman, and I think if I didn't have him, if not hands-on, just as a dad, I definitely wouldn't understand business the way that I do.
Right. Yes, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that must have been very helpful. And did your parents sort of say to you, Amira, why don't you be a doctor, or why don't you be an engineer, or why don't you, the usual sort of?
I never. I think I can proudly say, like, my parents have never really been like that. My brothers and I got lucky.
Right. That's good. That's good. So it's obviously something that you enjoy, and obviously, they often say that if you happen to find a job that you sort of enjoy as well, that's normally a very, very good position to be in.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm really glad that I found this path, and this is what I want to pursue. I think in all the jobs that I've had prior to this, I've never really felt content in what I'm doing. So for me, this is more than just a job and work and a business. It's kind of something I hope to leave as a legacy, and that's the main goal, really.
So I mean, in terms of the visual medium that your magazine is, I mean, so in terms of combining heritage with style and so on, so how has that sort of come together in terms of, for instance, say if you would look at the Turkish community, for example, how would you sort of portray that? I mean, to say just for example, say the Turkish community. There's a large Turkish community in London. Have you do you have certain photographs that depict the Turkish community, say, or any other sort of community? You can give an example of how the two have emerged.
So I think the important thing to take away from what we do and what we're aiming to do is to remove the idea of communities and how we portray them, and pick out these individuals and see how they want to be portrayed. So if I were to give you an answer to that, I think it would kind of go against like what I've set out to do. I think what we really, the aim with these individuals is to kind of highlight, like, look, you have these roots, they're kind of embedded in you from your Turkish heritage. How can we put that in the visual, while also incorporating the fact that you are a Londoner and you consider yourself as one? And it's kind of not for us to say how that should be portrayed at all. So really, however those images come out, that is down to the individual, and that's their story, and how the viewer, perceives it is really, it's down to them.
I see. That's so interesting. I mean, given what you just said, I mean, it's really it's down to the subject as to how they wish to portray themselves. I mean, so how would you say go about say for any particular edition? How does the process actually start? Because obviously you've got your photographers at that already, and you've got your subject. You've got some some subjects you wish to be part of your magazine. So how does it work? How do the two come together?
So what we do is we get our features together. We have a whole system. We have an all organized system of who's working with who, which photographer would suit this individual. We get them together. We get them having a conversation about that visual goal, and we really take the time to sit down with the individual, the feature, and speak to them about how they want things to look. One of the questions that we kind of get them to think about is, what location resonates with them, makes them feel as if though this is a, part of their identity in London. And that's where we go and shoot. So, we're not going to studios and booking that out and, you get the same kind of background or set designs going on. You get London, and that's it. London's the backdrop. And really, we take it from there. We just set a date. We get the photographer to go on shoot. Yes. Get the images that they need to get done. And on occasion, myself will go, or we'll kind of try to do some kind of ad hoc extra little bits and bobs on the day with maybe some videography, etc. But I think it's a very organic and natural process. We try to stave it away from too much of this formality that you see with conducting shoots and so on and so forth.
Right. I see. So it's not so much from what you tell me. It's not so much a photographer sort of lining things up. It's like almost like a 50-50. The subject will say, "Look, I want to do this and look like this or whatever." So the photographer will have to probably work in unison with the subject.
Yeah.
Rather, as you said, traditional sort of photo shoot situation where the photographer sort of directs everything and right, okay.
I think the art of collaboration is certainly kind of dying out as well at the moment, and we want to try and rein that back in and really collaborate with people and allow for them to be creative as well. So
right, I see. That's very interesting. And in terms of, looking forward, will your content change with the print version, or are they sort of equally compatible, and will they just sort of carry on with the print version? Are there any adjustments that need to be made for the print version?
So we definitely had a strategy with that. We've kept aside some images that people haven't seen before. We're not using them on any platform, online, social media. That said, we are still using some of the things you've seen already, and we'll also have some additional kind of elements of the physical print that we won't have online, which is what kind of makes it a little bit more special. When you are purchasing it, you're getting something very kind of niche and bespoke. Versus the website, which has kind of like a general overview of what we're doing. And I think we work, like as I said before, we're working with a really great design team who they've done Glamour magazine and Elle Collections and Financial Times magazine too. So I think we're in good hands in terms of how it's going to look. There is going to be a massive variation from the website.
Right. And of course, you said you've got a team around you. But I suppose I take it you make sort of ultimate decisions in the content of each edition, is it? Or
yeah, ultimately, it's me. It kind of always falls down on me to make those decisions. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And you talked earlier about how you sort of came into this field, but if say you were to be advising other sort of, other people who perhaps wanted to get into media and that sort of thing? I mean, what would you say would be very important that they actually consider first?
I think first and foremost is just trying to understand the realm of business and that you can't just jump into these things and not have a clue. Starting something like this or working in, media or any kind of creative profession for that matter, you really need to have a good full scope of 50-50, respecting your creative goals, but also understanding that there is a business aspect, and without it, you're lost. So that would be my biggest advice, definitely.
Well, certainly it's very practical advice, and I think very pertinent in this time and situation that we're in. We're coming up to a second break, Amira. So you've done extremely well, given us a very, really, a very good insight really into what you're doing. So please do stay with us, and we'll be back after the break.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Many men suffering abuse at the hands of their partners think they're to blame, that they're weak. That is not the case. We are here for you. We are the Mankind Initiative, and we have been helping men escape from domestic abuse since 2001. Call us on our helpline 01-823 334244. That is 01-823 334244. The lines are open from 10 till 4, Monday to Friday. Remember, you're not alone.
Thinking about selling or letting your home? With Maxwell Estates, you don't need to look any further. Well established with over 15 years of experience, Maxwell Estates are specialists in residential sales and lettings. We manage over 200 properties in and around Northwest London, keeping our landlords and tenants updated with all the latest laws and legislations. Based in Edgware, our experienced specialist negotiators always ensure we maximize the full potential of your property. Call us now on 0208 952 0808 for a free no-obligation quotation, or visit our website www.maxwellestates.co.uk for further information. Maxwell Estates, the name you can trust.
Now we're gradually coming out of lockdown. We can finally meet up again outside. But we want to do more than just meet up, don't we? Would a quick hug do any harm? Around 1 in 3 people who have COVID-19 have no symptoms and are spreading it without knowing. That could be a friend, a relative, it could even be you. It's hard, but don't get too close. Let's take this next step safely. Remember, hands, face, space and fresh air.
क्या आपको मालूम है कि नूरा जैसी बच्चियां पानी के लिए रोजाना 3 मील पैदल सफर तय करती हैं? मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन को यकीन है कि आप छोटे और बड़े पैमाने पर पानी के मंसूबे लगाकर इस बहरान को खत्म कर सकते हैं। आपके एहतियात दुनिया भर के पसमानदा लोगों का मियार जिंदगी बेहतर बना रहे हैं, जबकि अभी बहुत कुछ करना बाकी है। पानी सबके लिए के प्रोजेक्ट में हमारी मदद कीजिए। आज ही अतिया कीजिए या हमारी वेबसाइट विजिट करें www.minhajwelfare.org.
With over 40 years' experience in the industry, Plachette Carpets is the place to go for all your carpets, laminates, linos and wood flooring. We have an established network of suppliers, which means we can offer some of the best prices in town. We offer free estimates, free measurements and now even free fitting. Call us now on 0208 472 8568 or visit us at 157 Plachette Road, Upton Park, London, E13 0QZ.
Assalamu alaikum listeners, welcome. We know that the last year has been tough on all of us, but there has never been a better time to have a go at some new, healthier habits. Healthy changes start with little changes and will help you feel better. So we'll hear now from a local health professional about how best to achieve this from home. We've got our dear brother Suleiman Rafiq, a senior public health manager here in Luton. Simple question to start off with. Why is it important that we are not overweight?
I think often people think about it in terms of having a single reason, but there are so many benefits to being a healthy weight.
In regards to being overweight, what kind of health issues can being overweight cause?
Yeah, I think particularly carrying extra weight, it's quite dangerous in terms of having that extra fat within your body, particularly around your organs. And that's why it has such an impact on your cardiovascular health and your physical health as well.
Is there a simple way of losing weight?
This is about making small changes. So, some of those changes could be around drinking more water, trying to make sure that throughout the day we're drinking enough water. So small and sustainable changes are really the key to what we're talking about.
When we're saying trying to lose weight, is it important to be physically active at the same time?
Yeah, so being physically active has lots of benefits. So I think being physically active is a really important element. And, let's be clear on that, is that's even just going for a walk, maybe doing some DIY, but, doing something that requires physical exertion is really, really important. But when it comes to weight, obviously physical activity is important, but also it's about your food that you're taking in as well. The diet side of things is very important.
So from what I'm hearing, it's basically it's a mix of both.
Absolutely. As I say, it's really about making those small and sustainable changes. So, when it comes to eating well, maybe having 2 or more vegetables with your main meal. As I say, in terms of diet, again, drinking water throughout the day. And then, as you said, physical activity, really important. So, get into the habit of going for a walk every morning or whatever works with your own routine, but try and find the time to have that sustained everyday activity.
Is there any apps out there that our listeners can actually use to aid their journey towards a better health?
Yeah, absolutely. So the NHS have produced a wide range of fantastic apps and they're available on the normal app stores. The first one was in regards to the NHS Couch to 5K app. It takes you from being on the couch to being able to go to 5K. The other app that I would want to highlight, again, NHS app that is available for free, is called Easy Meals, available to all of us to try and improve that diet side of things as well.
Thank you so much for all your amazing advice. Listeners, whether you want to lose weight or get active, the NHS has lots of free top tips and ideas to help you live a healthier life. For more information, search nhs.uk/better health.
Rosia Plumbing, the boiler specialists. We do new boiler installations, full house central heating systems, underfloor heating, boiler repairs, boiler servicing, and gas safety certification for landlords. With some of the best prices in town, there's no job too big or too small for our qualified engineers. For a free, no obligation quote, contact us now on 07956 282 948. Rosia Plumbing, the boiler specialists.
Revive FM
94.0. On the radio.
on your mobile.
And online.
And you're listening to Revive FM 94.0, and this is the Mahtab Aziz Celebrity Lawyer Show. We have with us today Amira Hassan. Amira, hi.
Hi.
Hi there. Yeah, so I have to keep on adjusting myself. Amira, thank you for obviously you've given a very sort of insightful look into your area of business, and it's been very, very informative and very, in fact, I'm sure it's opened up a lot of people's minds as to how it's not as easy as it appears, to start off these sort of publications, and particularly as yours is one that actually is not yet mimicked by anyone else, and it's very good of you to have in fact survived this very, very hard and sort of dire consequences, and some managed to survive and carrying on very well. If I could draw your attention to one of your features that you had was one on a chap called Osgur Hassan. You're saying no relationship, I believe. Osgur.
Well, yeah, his surname has 2 S's, so definitely no relationship.
And that was, I think he was Cypriot and Egyptian, I think.
Yeah.
And there was a sort of series of photographs of him, very nice, very nicely. I have to say, I could see the quality there, shining out. Very good photographs of this young chap, and he was sitting, in certain poses and just basically telling about his heritage and life in London. And it was very good the way you've actually put it together. There was that one, and there was also the article you did on Rayad El Nayal, I think her name was. Yeah. And I particularly like those photographs because because the colors in those photographs were so like mesmerizing. They were so attractive. The colors of the clothes that she was wearing, and how they were sort of positioned in relation to the jewelry she was wearing. So it's very, very high quality stuff there. I could tell. So how did you come about sort of being able to make that sort of very sort of quality, very sort of mesmerizing sort of pictures? I mean, how are the photographers that you use? They must be obviously very experienced and very trained professionals.
Thank you. No, just thank you for like the barrage of compliments that you had just there. But yeah, I think with the imagery, specifically the two that you've picked out, there's two things to mention. Yes, I am working with very talented photographers. They really know what they're doing. They've not been doing it for a very, very long time, but they have a genuine talent for it. Yeah. So Oscar was shot by Emily, who is, she's really great photographer. She's been working with all sorts of people, particularly in the music industry recently. And I think she has just got a penchant for kind of capturing people's identities really well. Yes. With Rayan, interestingly, that's one of our individuals who took those pictures at home herself.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this is what I mean about that community, like creative, getting people to collaborate. Yes. We're showcasing people's talents that actually you wouldn't give a second look in if we didn't have their images on our website, or soon to be in the print as well. So I think it's really interesting that you picked out those two examples, just because they show such the variation in like what we're offering.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Oh yeah, definitely. I believe that she actually was Sudanese, I believe.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't know what it is, but the way she chose those colors and the way she put things together, it was just like as if some sort of professional person had done it. She'd done it worked really well.
Exactly.
And the Cypriot
Oscar, yeah.
Yeah, and he was reminiscing about when he was picking fruit in the vineyards, and then also telling how living in London was for him. And I think so there is a sort of a limited amount of text. Limited amount of text, sort of just basic information. But I think the reader probably struck more by the actual quality of the photographs. The photographs speak for themselves, really. They really do. It's a really, really good combination of how you managed to put everything together. I mean, obviously, normally we associate, like magazines, such as Vogue. You have large amounts of text, and then you have sort of full page sort of photos and stuff. But you sort of seem to have achieved a sort of balance of not writing too much, but just enough to set the scene, and then you have these sort of glorious sort of photographs to sort of. For people to look at, and I think it works really well.
Thank you. I'm glad you think so.
Definitely. I sort of passed my critical eye over it, like as if it was. And I think it's very good, very good. And so what's the long-term plan now then, Amira? What do you think is going to be next for Harris?
Honestly, I think the next thing is just focusing on getting that physical print out in August. Obviously we'll be planning our second issue just before that, kind of keeping that under wraps, but we'll be kind of we'll keep going. I'm a day-by-day, step-by-step kind of person. I think the pandemic really highlighted to me that you can't plan too much far ahead. So it's just no point.
Yes.
So I think for me, it's just about seeing this through to the physical print launch and taking it to the second. And I hope for all the good things that come along the way.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And do you make it a point of having, you know, like ordinary people, or do you have some, or do you hope in the future to have perhaps some people who are well known, but have been using the same sort of format and style? Do you hope, is that in your plans at all, or do you just want to keep it to?
I think for the majority, we'd like to keep it, you know, sort of like, you know, air quotations, you know, ordinary people. But in fact, they are probably more extraordinary than well-known people. I thought, you know, I kind of see so much in them that isn't available to everybody's, you know, it's not accessible to everybody. And I think that's what makes it so special to work with them. And of course, you know, I'm not going to turn down working with some well-known people. I think, you know, it'd be really, really, really interesting to work with some of them out there.
Wow.
And just to have the opportunity to would be great.
All right. Well, I'll have a sort of skim through my client list. I'm sure.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Well, guess what, Amira? We've actually run out of time. It's been absolutely great talking to you, and you've been absolutely wonderful in describing Harris and how it works and your future plans. And it's been a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me. It's been, you know, such a great opportunity, and it's a real pleasure to meet you as well.
Very kindly, very kindly. And so thanks a lot, and all the best for your magazine. And listeners, look out for this, Harris. Go out there and start looking at it now online. And August, start getting the print version.
Thank you.
All right, okay, Harris. Take care. Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. That's it for today. The Mahtab Aziz Celebrity Lawyer Show. Until next week on Revive FM 94.0.
We all know it's been a tough year.